Gravity is essential for the existence of all massive objects in our universe. It is the force by which planets or other bodies draw objects towards their center. The force of gravity keeps all of the planets in orbit around the Sun in our solar system. It plays a crucial role for life here on Earth as well. We humans and everything we have ever known is dependent on the force of gravity. So today, we're going to look at what would happen if the Earth's gravity was twice as strong. But as always, make sure to subscribe to our channel for more content ahead. If the gravity on Earth increased even by a few percent, the Earth's orbit would become much more elliptical than it is now. This will make the seasons extremely rough and lead to a harsh climate change. Mass panic would soon follow, along with a global famine that would crash the world's economy and leave very little survivors. Alright, if increasing gravity just a tiny bit would have such a dramatic impact, then what would happen if it was doubled? So, if the Earth's gravity was doubled all of a sudden, then most likely no one would survive. This is because the Earth's core would collapse in on itself under an enormous pressure, killing everyone and everything on the planet. It would also release extreme amounts of heat that will burn everything in its path. But let's assume that the doubling process happens a little more slowly so we don't all just die. Well, in that case, we would have a lot of other things to worry about. First and foremost, we would be twice as heavy as we are now. It would feel as if we all had a twin who we are carrying on our backs 24/7. Also, it would be very difficult to breathe since our lungs would be under a lot of stress from the extra gravity. The same would apply to our hearts, which would cause a spike in blood pressure. Under these circumstances, if anyone ever tripped and fell, they would most likely be severely injured or even die. This is because acceleration due to gravity is a comfortable 9.8 meters per second squared on average. But double that to 19.6 meters per second squared, and chances of survivals from trips and falls decrease tremendously. Other things such as climbing hills and mountains would become next to impossible for most people. Even stairs would be twice the effort we put in now. Simply sleeping would cause bed sores due to the enormous pressure of gravity. And that's not all. All of our infrastructure would be under a serious threat. Buildings across the world would all crumple under their own weight. Bridges would collapse and cause many deaths. If any planes were in the air at this time, they would also crash, unable to overcome the gravitational force. Furthermore, satellites would no longer be able to stay in orbit since they will no longer be traveling at the correct orbital velocity. Not just man-made objects, but trees would also collapse under their own weight. And if for some reason they can withstand the increase in gravity, then they will unfortunately die due to not being able to pump water as high as they can now for their survival. And that is what would happen if we double the gravity here on Earth. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe to our channel, hit the like button if you enjoyed this video, and share with your friends and family. Also comment down below on what you'd like to see next. Until then, we'll see you in the next one.